UKIP's only MP has called for a fresh face as leader of the party. Douglas Carswell told BBC Essex presenter Nital Arthinake that UKIP needed a gear change and a new direction after what he described as a dire by-election result recently in Oldham.
But sometimes a start-up needs to change gear and to change its management if it's to go the next level. And the Oldham by-election to me said very clearly that I think we need a fresh face.
Douglas Carswell. Well, speaking to me a little earlier, Nigel Farage said Mr Carswell should challenge him for the post or shut up.
We are a very united party. The UKIP National Executive, the UKIP couple of dozen MEPs, they're all unanimously behind my leadership of the party. 91% of UKIP voters...
Is Douglas Carswell?
91% of UKIP voters in the country are behind my leadership. We have one person who disagrees with my leadership. Douglas Carswell is completely out on a limb, and we cannot allow for somebody to go on sowing division when none exists. So frankly, rather than saying these things privately and now publicly, he must put up or shut up.
Nigel Farage in Brussels earlier. Well, I can talk now to Matthew Goodwin, who's a professor of politics at the University of Kent and is a co-author of a recent book called UKIP Inside the Campaign, to redraw the map of British politics. Very good morning to you. It's a pretty sorry state of affairs, isn't it, when a party's only MP and its leader appear to be at loggerheads like this?
Well, it's certainly true. This problem has been a long time coming. UKIP had a significant civil war in the aftermath of the general election, which centred on the same complaint, that the party was not achieving the kind of success that it should have achieved, that Nigel Farage was running a toxic campaign, and that the party needed fresh blood. Now, that civil war resulted in an awkward ceasefire, but the underlying problem within the party was never resolved. And that is why today we have a fresh round of allegations directed at Nigel Farage, which have really been fuelled by the parliamentary by-election result in Oldham West,
where UKIP came second, of course. Do you think it's unwise of Mr Carswell to come out publicly like this on his views on the leadership when he himself says he's not prepared to stand?
Well, I think there are a number of things going on here. Chiefly is the EU referendum debate. There are Eurosceptics such as Carswell who feel that Nigel Farage is damaging the Leave side and perhaps may have calculated that between the summit last night and the next meeting in February, perhaps there needs to be a move to essentially dispose of Farage before the referendum debate really gets going. Because the Leave camp are faced with a somewhat awkward question, which is why are they not ahead, given the refugee crisis and record levels of public concern over immigration in Britain. So it may be that Carswell is really thinking about two things here, not only how UKIP can move beyond the 10 to 15% range into the 15 to 20, 25% range, where lots of European radical right parties are currently placed, but also how can the Leave camp deliver a victory and mobilise over 50% of the vote at a referendum. It is, however, important to talk to the other side of the coin, and if you think about where Nigel Farage and his advisers are, they have long felt frustrated with their only MP and may well conclude after this latest outburst that in one form or another this underlying problem has to be resolved potentially this side of Christmas.
Do you think, though, that Douglas Carswell has read the mood right, not only among UKIP party members, but among people who vote for UKIP or are thinking of voting for the party? Nigel Farage says he has the support of, I think it was 91% of their voters, was the quote from that interview earlier.
Nigel Farage is incredibly popular within the party. He is incredibly popular among the people who matter in the party, the National Executive Council, the vast majority of the MEPs, and also some of the key backroom influencers and shakers within UKIP. It's also important to bear in mind that Farage is an important driver of the UKIP vote. He may not be bringing UKIP 30 to 40%, but among the people who voted for UKIP at the general election, for example, we find that those UKIP voters really do like Farage.
And so without that very recognisable face, actually, would the party do any better?
Well, who is the other face? I mean, that's the big question that's underlying this big debate. Is it Paul Nuttall, who in essence would not deliver what Carswell is talking about? Paul Nuttall is a Farage loyalist who would want to stick on the current path, who would want to focus heavily on immigration and associated issues. Is it Suzanne Evans, who Douglas Carswell and others have praised in the past? Well, Suzanne Evans doesn't inspire great confidence at all levels of the party. That would be my reading. And then you have to start going through some of the other MEPs, perhaps Stephen Wolfe, perhaps Bill Etheridge, perhaps unsuccessful candidates at the general election like Jamie Huntman or Tim Aker. These are all people who most voters will not necessarily be aware of, but are at the core of UKIP's organisation. But do they have that Farage factor? Do they have that ability to deliver a very punchy soundbite, to mobilise almost 4 million voters at a general election, to maintain party unity, to work around the clock? So those are the things that UKIP will need to resolve going forward.
We must leave it there, but Professor Matthew Goodwin from the University of Kent, thank you very much for your time.